We need some way to road test a more rural-friendly message.
If you can't live your principles in the bad times, I guess they aren't principles, they're just hobbies.
Nice.
John Wayne and a tractor have a baby, and all you can say is nice.
Really nice.
Oh my God,
Nice.
it's so nice.
My first question is, this film is set in a small town. Why do you think it was important to tackle like someone like politics in a small town for this film?
You know, in some respects, it could have been set anywhere. It's really more about how the system around elections no longer serves the citizens that it purports to serve. So the setting had more to do with kind of playing into the political divide that we have in this country so that the story has some credibility as you begin to watch it. So you kind of forget, so that at the end, when you reveal kind of the real purpose of the movie, is to get kind of the idea that to have the audience believe they're watching a different movie than the one that they're actually watching. And so it had to exist in a way that I think the audience believes could happen, could play into the narratives that we've been fed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the casting was great all over. Chris Cooper was phenomenal as a choice too.
Yeah, such a rock.
I want to talk about Steve Carell, because you guys have obviously worked together way back in the day. And I want to know, how has he grown as a performer working with him then and then working with him now?
Not at all. It's been very sad to watch him wither. I mean, he was a talented man with a real zest for life. And to see him now, just this husk. I mean, if I hadn't sworn to his parents that I would take care of him, I don't know that I ever would have kissed him. No, he's, you know, look, when we were on The Daily Show, a Steve Carell segment was always, it almost made you lazy as a writer because you knew he was going to find things in between the lines that were unbelievable. What he's really done since then is developed a craft as an actor, as someone who can bring nuance to a character that's not just comedic, but emotive. And he's just such a versatile and talented performer. It's just a shame about the drug problem.
I feel like there was a lot of that whenever he would give like a speech or a monologue, he would kind of like play with it. Anyway.
He gave a lot of really interesting moments that were fun for me in the edit, because in the edit, you know, you're watching this thing 10,000 times. And when you have actors of that caliber, you're picking new things up that they've done, reacting to each other or additive things that are really help fill out scenes. So that was always fun. You know, it makes it a much more fun process, even in the edit.
Obviously, politics is very much on a lot of people's minds right now. I want to know what you hope people will take away from this film.
Well, hopefully they'll think it's a funny, enjoyable, you know, hour and whatever it is, hour and 30, hour and 35 minutes. You know, the main thing you want to do is hope people have an entertaining time with it and think it's funny and resonates for them in some kind of way. As far as what they take away from it, I think that would be the main thing. And if it causes some moment of inspiration that the system, hopeful that the system can be changed, you know, to change a system, you have to be able to diagnose it as to what's really the illness and what's going on. And hopefully this gives people a chance to think about those things and put us on that path. Because, you know, I've been very encouraged to see all the grassroots activism and work being done by people right now. And it's exciting.
This is really just another perfect example of the DC elite trying to dictate how we should live.
That's we, you're DC elite.
Oh, no, actually, I'm from here. I'm from Deer Lacket.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
No,
that's, what are you even doing?
One of my favorite moments from your character from Faith is when she's on like the video call doing her television interview, and she just has a very like straight, like stoic face and a very stiff politician face. Where did that come from? Where did that inspiration come from?
You know, I've always been a fan of the genre of sort of
films about the media, films about politics, whether it's broadcast news or the newsroom, the recent Apple show. It's such a great backdrop for drama and theatrics. And there's a specific tone with the job that I think is required. And I was fascinated to try to capture that. And it's very nerve-wracking, to be honest, because the Politico speak is like another language. It really is. And I don't know it. So I was desperately trying to, there is almost a boredom or a dullness sometimes when they just don't draw breath. That's the other thing. There's no breath seen. There's no effort. So I try to capture that whilst knowing that language.
I think
it's very hard for me. I was like, oh my God, I hope I'm not terrible.
Well, how do you get to know that type of character? Was it just like previous experience, or?
Jon was such a source of information. I was like, tell me what. I think he's known so many faiths in his life, so many faiths from Washington, he directed me to that great documentary, The War Room. And there's a really good relationship between James Corville and Mary Madeline, who's a very well-known Republican strategist. And she was a great touchstone too. And they're sparring together from opposite sides, but they have this relationship, and it's very kind of sexy, and there's a chemistry and electricity between them. And I think that was one of the inspirations for Faith and for Gary.
As far as American politics and Australian politics, do you feel like you've learned anything about American politics while making this that's completely different from Australian politics?
Oh, well, the money that's involved, it's just extraordinary. I've been to the conventions before, and it's like going to the Emmy Awards, whereas Australian politics is far less kind of dramatic, and it's very much more low-key. And, Australians are far more pride themselves on not taking themselves as seriously. And America, it's just larger than life, and that's the politics as well.
Colonel Jack Hastings is our key back into the great now swing state of Wisconsin. He just doesn't know it yet.
My first question to you was, as a Canadian, was there anything interesting about American politics that you learned from doing this film?
Everything is interesting about American politics. It is such a dense mess of conflicting ideas. It is fascinating to uncover and unending education. So, and I'm very invested in it. I live in this country, and anybody who can explain these concepts to me simply, I'm very thankful for.
Chris, you kind of got your start through political cinema, kind of like in the earlier days, and I kind of was curious how much political cinema has changed over like these 30 years.
Oh boy, I think it's changed in a big, big way. And I believe you're talking about when we used to have an independent film industry, and John Sayles, the granddaddy of independent film, gave me my first job. And we have worked closely together for 5 films, and a couple of them have been very political pieces. But it's become tougher and tougher, harder and harder to get the finances. That's the big.
Oh wow! Nobody wants to help make some of these pieces.
It's very hard to find the money now. Yeah.
All right. Oh, interesting. I didn't see it going there. You both play pretty honorable characters. I was wondering if there's anything you envy particularly about your characters.
I just hope maybe I brought my own honesty to the character.
I like that.
I must say, I may, though I pay attention to the news way too much. People like Jon Stewart and others can talk circles around me politically. I know my gut reactions, but to talk really intelligently, not too easy.
What about you, Mackenzie?
I think she's very clear in dismantling what Steve Carell's character presents as incredibly dense, intractable parts of politics that can't possibly be changed. And I think she has a real sort of clarity and wit to dismantling what he views as essential parts of politics.
Okay, now what about, like, as far as your previous characters that you've played, I'm curious as to which you would think would make a good politician, or do you think that would be good to like run for any particular office?
Oh man, no, I'd say talking to my first film that John gave me, playing Joe Kinahan, a union man, our politics are and remain very, very much the same. So yeah, my character Joe Kinahan would be a good man runner for politics.
I think maybe Cameron Howe, a character I played on *Halt and Catch Fire*, wouldn't be a good politician, but I'd like to see her try.
I am telling you guys, Jack could be the real deal. This little campaign of ours has caught the attention of the National Republican Party. Why are you here?
Because crushing the last piece of hope in your eyes really gets me off. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
You look fat.